No, they are required to remove it if you ask them to, but they make it intentionally difficult and confusing, and they know that you probably won't bother. They make billions of dollars selling your info to scammers, but also like criminals, like anybody with nefarious intentions. If you want to stick it to these data brokers and also just fight back, then I highly recommend today's sponsor, which is Aura. The reason I love Aura is because it is everything for online security, all in one tiny, neat, little cute package. They automatically remove all this info from the instead of unalive, because while I understand why people use unalive instead, it drives me nuts personally. So I'm going to say M word instead. Anything else I censor in this video, I'll make sure to have text on screen so that you know what we're talking about. Okay, like I said, Lady Iris, as far as we know, is a woman, and they have had other accounts, but unfortunately, we can't really dive deep into the other accounts because they've been banned, or at least Reddit says they've been suspended. I can't find them in the Wayback Machine. I'm either doing it wrong or it's not there, but it doesn't really matter, trust me, because Lady Iris is the main account. Lady Iris is what people, when they're referring to this Reddit case, they refer to it as the Lady Iris case, and it doesn't really matter because pretty much, as you'll discover, all the posts that she posts are more or less the same. The first post on the Lady Iris account was on August 25th, 2015, and she posted in the subreddit AWW, like, oh, that's so cute. Quote, adorable half blue heeler, half Australian Shepherd puppies. And it was accompanied by a link to show a photo that I assume was of the puppies, and that photo doesn't seem to exist anymore. No one commented on this post, and obviously it is not that concerning. The next day, on August 26th, 2015, Lady Iris posts on the subreddit Ask Reddit. She says, why is it that the more we're told not to do something, the more we want to do it? Again, this post did not blow up or anything. It only has 6 comments. And yet again, this post is pretty innocent. Nobody knew that this was the Reddit user posting on these other banned accounts yet, because that's a very innocent post. But then her third post on October 27th, the following day, that's where things start to get odd, and they would only get darker and darker and darker. To be fair to Lady Iris, she did post this in r/morbid questions, so it was appropriate to post there. She wasn't posting it in lighthearted subreddits. It was meant to be dark questions like this, and she posted, if you forced someone to swallow Drano, what would happen to their insides? She goes on to write, obviously, it would most likely kill them, but I'm curious to hear the details on how it would actually corrode their insides and what it would feel like. Yet again, there's no evidence that this user is concerning overall, and there's no evidence that this person had other accounts that were already banned. So again, nobody seemed too concerned. And honestly, if it were me coming across this post organically, I wouldn't have been concerned either. It's, again, just kind of a morbid question, but we've all had morbid thoughts before, right? And it does make sense that if you had innocent intentions overall, you didn't actually want to harm anybody, or you weren't having dark thoughts, this might be a question somebody would naturally be curious about. A couple days later, on August 29th, Lady Iris posts, quote, what are the best ways to cause extreme harm to people that won't instantly cause their death? Now, this is the second post in a row, again, granted in morbid questions, but this one does raise a tiny bit of a red flag. Why do you want to know this? What pleasure do you get out of people answering this question specifically? Most of the comments on this post took it seriously and answered her question and went into pretty graphic details, so graphic that I'm probably not going to include them on YouTube. But after all, it's all hypothetical. Why wouldn't people answer this question in a subreddit devoted to morbid questions? But I did want to highlight this post because the comment section got a little interesting, at least in one thread. So someone said, oh look, it's you/Allegreta's new account. Allegreta is an account that was suspended. We can no longer see it, and sure enough, that is one of Lady Iris's alt accounts. I believe the original account, if not one of the original accounts. Lady Iris responds, I will neither confirm nor deny that. But then she had to go back and edit it because people were accusing her of being Allegretta, and she said, edit, Jesus people, before you downvote me to oblivion, I was making a joke. It's pretty obvious that I'm that user. So here, Lady Iris is confirming that she is in fact also Allegretta. Before she edited the comment admitting to be the same user, somebody else responded, yeah, you are though. The account was created right around when you asked if you were shadow banned. And you post on r/namenerds, a pretty small subreddit that Allegretta posted on quite frequently. Not to mention the dark stuff typical of Allegretta on this account. And she said, yeah, I know, it's not that hard to figure out, but I'd like to avoid having this account shadow banned for at least another couple days. So this is why I'm reading you this part of it, even though it seems mundane, because she is explaining how this account came to be. So somebody said, I don't think you should have been shadow banned at all. It's obviously allowed for you to ask these kind of questions since morbid questions is the subreddit. Are they saying that you're allowed as long as you aren't too into it? I don't get it. Valid question, honestly. Like, you should not be banned from a subreddit where you're just literally doing what the subreddit was made to do. So I do understand that. Lady Iris said, well, definitely, it isn't right for me to be banned for posting morbid questions in a subreddit dedicated to morbid questions. But I also posted in r/askreddit, and the mods there considered it spam or trolling, even though that was not my intention. I simply wanted open-ended answers about dark topics in a large sub. Somebody asked, what was the question? And Lady Iris, this is very telling in my opinion, Lady Iris said, oh, it wasn't just one question. I asked many, many questions centered around my interest in T-wording and M-wording. Innocent people for pleasure. So what does this tell us? This tells us this is not the first time she's gotten in trouble with Reddit and or mods of specific subreddits. This also tells us that she's aware that she does spam subreddits. She says, I asked many, many questions centered around my interest, which that is spamming. That is what a mod would consider spamming. So it is frustrating from the outside to see her that I shouldn't get shadow banned for following the rules, but then literally two lines down says, but I did do this against the rules. It seems like where she got in trouble was because she kept asking in on Ask Reddit instead of morbid questions, because Ask Reddit was a bigger forum and she was hoping for a wider variety of answers and more specific answers, because she does have a fixation on people describing in detail what they would or wouldn't do in response to her questions. And then that last part of that comment is just, we can't skirt over that. That's a wild thing to say out loud. My interest in T-wording and M-wording innocent people for pleasure. Not my interest with true crime, not my fascination with M-word, not my morbid curiosity for gore. My interest in doing those things to innocent people for pleasure. So that's Lady Iris's first few posts. We're off to a tremendous start, aren't we? There's a ton of posts. There are, I think, at least 100 posts over just a few months on this account. So obviously I'm not going to go deep dive every single post because this video would be 5 hours long, and we don't really need to, because you just need to get the idea of what we're dealing with here, which you will. So what I'm going to do is read off the titles of a bunch of different posts that I thought were interesting and highlighted her thought process and everything, and then we're going to again deep dive a few more of the posts that I found the most telling. I was gonna say relevant, but I think the word I'm looking for is telling. So here's some posts. How long does it take for a person's nerves to be destroyed when they are burned alive? How long are you likely to feel pain of burning? If you could kill any one person in existence with absolutely no repercussions, who would it be and how would you K-word them? Would you make it slow and painful or a quick death? Why don't we make use of the flesh and meat of people that die prematurely? If you could T-word any one person in the world with no chance of punishment, what would you do to them? By the way, when somebody answered cheekily to this post that said, I would T-word them, Lady Iris responded to that, quote, I want specifics. So remember how we were talking about earlier, how she doesn't just want And when people do describe in depth, like a step-by-step what they would do and describe things, like she definitely wants things in a descriptive manner of what happens to the person, what they do when they're in pain, how they would be T-worded and stuff. And so this is a pattern of, I want specifics, and then when she does get specific, she's like, this is a great answer, thank you so much, which is very concerning in itself. Okay, what are some of the best places to someone if you don't want them to die instantly? If M-word were legal, who would be on your list? What is the cruelest way you've manipulated someone? What are some clever ways to get away with M-word? Why are some people unable to accept that some people like watching and making others suffer and aren't trolling when they admit it? Why does success taste even sweeter when you have to stomp on others to get it? Why is it that the more evil and cruel an action is, the more exciting it becomes to carry it out? Why do people get so much more upset over the death of children than adults? Why does it feel so good to see people in great physical pain? If I K-worded one of your loved ones, how would you like to see me punished? So, yeah. Hopefully that gives you a pretty good idea, and like I said, I'm not going to read all the posts because a lot of them are variations of those. So let's dig a little deeper into a few of the posts I didn't read off though that I did think were notable. So one of them, why is there no link to a homicide hotline on the sidebar of this sub? Again, this is posted in r/morbid questions. Somebody at the top comment though, shout out to them, because the top comment is, because the homicide hotline is 911. Slay. Lady Iris replies to that and says, no, I mean a hotline that you can talk to someone if you feel like you want to K-word someone and need someone to listen and help you cope with your feelings. Someone else said, try anger management. And Lady Iris replied to that, it's not about anger, it's about sadistic urge. And a lot of people have kind of almost sympathy for Lady Iris too though, because it's clear that she's struggling with this, but doesn't actually want to act on it, which we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But she's asking, why isn't there a hotline, just like the crisis line for people who, you know, are having thoughts about themselves? Why isn't there one for people that have thoughts about other people? Which, fair enough, and I do understand, like, you're trying to prevent yourself from doing those things, and so why are people scrutinizing you for it, and then you're gonna get possibly thrown in jail for saying these things out loud, you know?
I did.
And then, but that's like, doesn't really seem fair to get punished for something, for thoughts that you're having when you're trying not to act on them and you want help. I do understand that. It's just that these posts get worse, and it's very clear that she does not seek help. And she even says, it's not about anger, it's a sadistic urge. And she has self-labeled herself as a sadist many times. So it really is like her fantasizing about the harm of others. The next post that I want to highlight is this one. Why, in your own words, is M-wording an innocent person morally wrong? And the top comment says, because you have no right to choose whether they live or die. Lady Iris replies, why not? We make that choice for animals all the time. This is a philosophical question that many people have asked. There's a complicated answer, especially because the answer changes based on whether you are religious or not, based on whether you're vegan or not, but that's kind of the whole point. So everybody get ready, sit down, grab a snack, grab a drink, get ready for a little rant. This is my take on this, because I do understand what she's asking. Like, it sounds like it's obvious, like, don't harm others. But when you really think about it philosophically, it is a confusing question to some. Like, why really, not just like, is society telling us that it's wrong, but why is it really wrong? And notably, she compares it to killing an animal, and why is it okay to kill an animal, but why is it not okay to kill a human? Now, Ready? Okay, that's a false statement. She is wrong there. She said, why is it not considered immoral to kill an animal? It is considered immoral to kill an animal for pleasure and for no reason. I think most people would agree that poaching for aesthetic reasons, to get aesthetic materials for man-made goods from that animal, is immoral. I think that most people would agree that killing an animal for fun because you want to see what it's like to kill something or someone is wrong. You're doing it for your own satisfaction and you're doing it for no reason. She is making it seem like killing animals under any circumstance is the exact same thing as her doing it for sadistic reasons. And a lot of people would argue that it's not. So this is where the nuance comes in. Animals are also seen by many people as food. Are there problems with our meat industry? Of course. I don't think anybody disagrees with that. But a lot of people do not find it morally wrong to kill animals if we're using them for our food and we are consuming them, because that is seen as health and survival. I know that vegans and vegetarians would argue that that is still not a good reason, and that's completely fair for them to believe that. Not everybody believes that eating animals for food is justifiable, but many people do, which is why that topic is granted subjective. It's not objective, it's subjective, because so many people are on different sides. Some people find it morally wrong, some people don't find it morally wrong. Now, I think you could argue that the vast majority of people, it is objectively rather than subjective, but it is objectively bad and wrong to kill an animal for no reason or for your sick pleasure. The intention behind it is different. When it's from a hypothetical future serial killer, it's almost black and white. Almost nobody would say, yeah, that's totally fine. Now, to apply that to taking another human's life. Again, Lady Iris is grouping this all in one big ball, that taking somebody's life when it was not a natural cause in all cases is the same thing. And that is just not true either. There are some situations that there's this magical word that we like to call an accident. So imagine somebody is jaywalking at 3 in the morning. It's completely pitch black out. There is nobody on the road, and they decide to jaywalk across a extremely busy intersection or across a highway. Maybe this pedestrian is even drunk. Either way, they are breaking the law by jaywalking, and they also cannot reasonably expect on the highway for a car to know that they would be there in the dark, in the middle of the night, in the middle of somewhere where there is not pedestrians. So if that vehicle hits the jaywalker, typically, again, not always, but typically in court they are found not liable, or it is an accidental homicide, or it's manslaughter, you know? That situation is completely different than Ted Bundy going out to hunt a woman specifically to T-word essay her and M-word her for his own sick pleasure. Those cannot be compared. The results are the same in terms of loss of life. One person dies in both scenarios, but I don't think anybody in the world would argue that the driver of that car is just as evil as Ted Bundy. Same thing if there's an intruder in your home and they are trying to essay you, if you had a weapon on hand, you are within your right to defend yourself, and if you end up killing them, you are hopefully not going to be held liable for that because you can claim self-defense. So that's the same for animals. A lot of people see animals for the purpose of food as an okay thing, but they do not feel the same way about just torturing an animal needlessly. So all I mean to say there is that Lady Iris's argument is just dumb. Equating that, oh, we choose when we take an animal's life, it's a complete moral philosophical debate that is not as simple as what she's making it out to seem. So moving on from that, another person said they are a human being and you cannot force them to die. Lady Iris replies to this, well, you technically can. What makes them any different than killing an animal? Same freaking argument. There is really no difference other than the fact that we are human, and so we have stigmatized killing our own kind. But I need a deeper reason than that. Is it truly morally wrong, or is it more of a fact that we need to keep our species alive? Okay, so I already addressed the dumb animal argument, but let me address why I know I didn't really answer the original question. So let me address why, in my opinion, murder as a whole is morally wrong on a philosophical level. And it is simple. Murdering somebody for your pleasure because you want to causes severe suffering. Humans generally do not like to suffer. Lady Iris is really objectifying people here as if they are just pawns that, you know, that if she wanted to, she could just use however she wants. She, I think, is lacking the understanding that it is a whole person that you would be hurting who has dreams, aspirations, they have goals, they have a bucket list, they want to visit the Eiffel Tower someday, they have a whole personality, they have a family, they have parents, they might have children, they might have grandchildren, they have siblings, cousins, friends, loved ones, all these people who care about them, where when you take their life for your own selfish reasons, that suffering is not only going to be on that person, but it's going to ripple out into a giant group of people that are affected by that death. All their loved ones now have to deal with not only the grief, but the incredible trauma of learning that their loved one not only passed away, but passed away because you had a sadistic urge, as you put it. And then last, the reason that it is morally wrong is because, generally speaking, you would not want to be M-worded at somebody else's hands. Most serial killers, just because they love ending other people, they would protect themselves if somebody tried to M-word them back. If somebody tried to do that, they would defend themselves. But regardless, if you did not want to be M-worded yourself, then it is expected to apply that same courtesy and nicety to someone else. Now, that is from a non-religious point of view and my moral compass. There is a lot of religious nuance to this. For example, Christians or people that believe in a traditional man god in the sky or in heaven are going to have a very different kind of take on this. And I actually came across this really interesting clip that made me think very hard.
Forget you asked what? Why murder is wrong?
Yeah. Do you say murder is wrong because it's wrong? Or is it wrong because you say it's wrong?
Well, okay, what's the difference?
Well, if murder is wrong whether or not God says it's wrong, then morality doesn't require God. But if murder is wrong just because God says it's wrong, then morality is arbitrary. So, which is it?
Arbitrary.
But anyway, regardless of the actual argument, what disturbs me most about this particular post is that it feels like she's trying to justify her dark fantasies. It's like she's looking for just one person to say, oh yeah, no, M-word, it's not actually morally wrong, it's fine. It's like she wants somebody to give her a permission slip to go off and act on these thoughts that she's having, which is just very, very, very unsettling. It's like you're posting it online hoping that somebody will agree with you, not actually because you want to know what people's opinions are or want anyone to change your mind. Okay, soon after that post, finally we're going to move on here, there was another post that said, if there were undeniable proof that a very pleasant afterlife existed for all human beings, would it still be frowned upon to K-word innocent people? See what I mean? It's like she keeps posting the same type of thing over and over, wanting somebody to agree with her, and I'm sure some people did probably privately and messaged her, because there are people with these thoughts out there, but like, it's like she's posting it over and over until somebody says, yeah, go ahead. Someone on this post, though, said, you actually believe that heaven's existence would make M-word okay? You sound insane. And Lady Iris replied, how is that insane? And they say, You've been told by other people in this thread already. If you seriously still think it'd be okay, you need help. And Lady Iris replies, I'm not stupid. I understand what people are trying to say and that we should all have control over our own lives. We should not take that choice away from another person. However, I still don't think you can truly call it evil when the result is someone getting a happier existence in the end. Okay, so again, I just wanted to point out this particular post mostly because I wanted to rebuttal her weird arguments and how the average person would think. The problem with her argument here is, like, again, I understand where she's coming from. Like, if it was guaranteed that it would be better than here, why is that still bad? But the problem with this argument, which should be obvious, is that it's hypothetical, that it's completely hypothetical, and we will never, ever, ever, one of the few things humans will never be able to prove is that there is a heaven and a hell. We can never scientifically, definitively prove that. There will always be doubt. Me personally, I don't believe in a Christian God. I do not believe that there is heaven or hell. Other people fully believe that it's real. So what is the point of asking this question? The argument's moot. You will never, ever, ever be in the position where you're about to end somebody's life and you know for a fact that they will go to heaven. There's no situation on this earth that you will be able to know that for sure. Okay, so now I want to address the other elephant in the room. Is this just a fetish? For that, I want to address this post. So she says, what is your opinion on the morality of enjoying an innocent person's death? Again, another variation of the same question she's asked a million times. As we go through these posts, and she seems to ask a similar question over and over, it does beg the question, is this something that is secretly just getting her off? Like, she has no plans on actually acting on any of these things, but she is getting her rocks off, for lack of a better phrase, by seeing people respond to her making these outlandish questions. And shock is a fetish. Non-consensually sharing shocking information, whether it be sexual or not, is a thing for some people. They like the reaction they get from non-consensually telling you something you didn't want to know. To prove my point, let's read some of the comments. So the top comment, someone has obviously looked through Lady Iris's post history, says, OP, I'm starting to detect a disturbing trend. Lady Iris replies, it's my fetish. Okay, so mystery solved, right? But wrong. The conversation continued after that. Yeah, I've seen you post about it before. I'm curious as to why you don't take it somewhere like FetLife. And if you don't know, FetLife is a website where like-minded people, especially the BDSM community, can go and talk with each other. It's another kind of message board thing, is my understanding. So somewhere like FetLife where you'd have a more receptive audience. Not to say that FetLife has more wannabe M-worders, but I think they'd have more people open to the idea of fantasizing about it. Basically, this person is asking, why are you using unsuspecting Reddit people to engage in your fetish non-consensually? That's not cool, basically what they're saying. Lady Iris replies, I've tried sites like FetLife, but most people are into the sexual aspect of these fantasies and want it to be consensual, implying that she does not. These thoughts do turn me on, but there is nothing, quote, sexual about them, at least not in a way that makes me want to flirt with others about it. Commenter says, I guess that makes sense. It just seems creepy and annoying to push your fetish on Ask Reddit, especially when you make topic after topic with mostly negative responses. I get that fantasy doesn't equal reality, but it's not the healthiest fascination to dwell on. 10 out of 10 comment, totally agree. Lady Iris said, I like getting all responses, they be positive or negative. I found some interesting people to talk to in private message from these topics. I also enjoy debate and hearing opposing views, so I like the large sub like Ask Reddit. I figure that people can ignore my posts if they really can't stand them. No, 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 no. That's an excuse. That's a justification. That's a minimalization of her posts. That is, yeah, let's talk about consent for a second. I'm not going to gripe on this because most of you all know and understand this concept because it's not a difficult concept to grasp. But what she is doing is unethical, in my opinion. Let's say she has no intention of ever acting out on these thoughts. She's never actually been a violent person, but it is just her fetish to think about this stuff. And specifically, it's her fetish to shock other people with her dark thoughts. It's not that she actually wants to do them. She likes the reaction she's getting out of people. That is unethical. That's not okay. Is it illegal? Probably not. But it's a really just cruel, effed up thing to do. It is not okay to push your fetish on somebody else when without their consent. Also similar to, for example, sending a picture of your downstairs area to somebody on a dating app or to somebody over text when they did not explicitly ask for it. Now, obviously that's not the most jarring thing about this whole thread. The most jarring thing is that she is admitting that there is some sort of sexual aspect to this. But she herself admitted she does not want it to be consensual, and she doesn't want to role play. She doesn't want to just find a BDSM partner and role play these scenarios. She has this thing where it is specifically the violent acts that do give her sexual gratification, but the non-consensualness, the harming of an innocent person, as she said many times before, is what gratifies her. The specifically not being a willing participant is part of it, which again, I would just like to remind you that that is what a lot of misogynistic serial killers, that is a lot of what their mentality is that they found out that through their own relationship that they cannot be completely satisfied with consensual acts, and so they escalate into doing non-consensual things, and those non-consensual things are what finally they realize gets them off, and it just goes worse and worse from there. My personal opinion at this point is that this person behind this account likely has some sort of personality disorder that is preventing them from feeling empathy for others, which we will also talk about in a minute. But at this point, we're like, okay, girl, you need help. You need therapy, possibly medication. You need some serious psychological help. And I do understand that it's not possible for a lot of people to get help, and that's wrong, and they should, but it still doesn't mean that that makes you going off to do these things okay. Now, on the topic of empathy, I want to talk about another post of hers, and this one says, serious. Why do people describe empathy as an automatic emotional response rather than a cognitive, intellectual understanding of another person's position? So in this post, we have Lady Iris pretending like she knows what empathy is. The irony is that she literally doesn't, and doesn't see how her responses, her description of what empathy is, proves that she doesn't know what it is. I promise I'm not going to diagnose anybody in this video as a sociopath or a psychopath, or as the proper term for those would be antisocial personality disorder, or ASPD is the proper, more respectful diagnosis. I'm not a doctor or a therapist, but even if I was, this is not my patient, so it is not my place to diagnose her with anything. And that's a good reminder that nobody should be diagnosing anybody on the internet that they don't know and that they don't actually care for, like the, narcissism and how that's thrown around way too much without anybody actually being diagnosed. Anyway, that disclaimer out of the way, I'm going to read you some of this post and then give you my thoughts. So somebody said, I'm pretty sure psychopaths have a cognitive, intellectual understanding of another person's position, except they have no emotional response to go along with it. It's considered an automatic emotional response because watching someone else in pain causes you pain, or at least discomfort at their pain. Lady Iris says, watching someone in pain does not cause you pain. I'm sorry, it's not funny. I'm laughing a little because it's weird, not haha. But the fact that she just continually tells on herself, and the irony of her not realizing that she's telling on herself, watching someone in pain does not cause you pain. That's because she doesn't experience pain when she watches someone else in pain. Other people that do not have any concerning mental health diagnosis or issues do feel pain and feel emotional distress when they see somebody else in pain. So somebody replied, it does on a certain level. They are called mirrored neurons. Just the action of watching someone in pain triggers the neurons in your brain that are associated with that pain. And she said, I don't think that's true for everyone. Yeah, no shit. You're proving that perfectly. People react to things differently. I've never felt feelings associated with pain from seeing someone in pain. I can understand why they are hurting, but there's no emotional reaction. And I have talked to others about this, and many agree that they feel the same way that I do. You can understand that it hurts to scrape your knee, but it does not bring you discomfort. Somebody else says, but the phrase empathy means an emotional response, not a thought. Literally, the ability to understand and share feelings with another. She continues to argue, but you can understand them without sharing them. You can intellectually think, wow, she lost her husband, that sucks. That must hurt. I would hate to lose my husband, but not feel sad, upset, or emotional in any way. That's a thought process that allows you to understand others, but you will never feel what they feel. Somebody else replies, you're arguing semantics. Empathy, the word, means an emotional response. Just because you understand where that person is coming from doesn't mean you have empathy. Exactly. Thank you to this person. Then I and many other people lack empathy. You think? Seems like a silly thing, since understanding it is basically the same thing. It's not, though. That is not what empathy is. Now, I also want to be very careful that I'm not demonizing people who lack empathy. There's a lot of different brain chemistry things, we'll just say, that can cause a lowered sense of empathy, or that can cause people not to understand empathy in the same way. And I want to be clear that that does not make somebody an inherently bad person. You cannot help how your brain is structured. However, I will say, recognizing a lack of empathy in yourself and then not putting effort into either learning empathy, which you can do with therapy and help, or at least not causing harm then because you recognize that you lack empathy, that is still your responsibility to do in order to maintain relationships and generally have a fulfilling life. She's missing the part where having empathy is not only understanding another person's position, understanding how you would feel in that position, and therefore treating them with the compassion that you would expect being in that position. For example, with her M-wordy thoughts, recognizing, having empathy for somebody, and therefore not harming or K-wording them is because you see if you were in their position, you would feel scared, you would feel traumatized, you would feel hurt, you would feel unbelievable, unadulterated fear, literally peeing your pants in fear because you feel like you're about to lose your life at the hands of another person. That is emotion, and she seems to be missing that. You can look at somebody and understand, wow, you must be really scared right now, but the difference is that it feels like Lady Iris likes that feeling. She likes looking at somebody being scared. She understands other people's emotions, but she does not actually feel anything about other people's emotions. Now, getting back on my mental health pedestal a little bit, and just a reminder that I'm not a therapist or a medical professional, so I'm not like an expert in this or whatever, but I do want to remind everybody that sociopathy, psychopathy are extremely demonized, and again, it's really called ASPD, antisocial personality disorder, but I'm referring to it as sociopath mostly because that's what most people, they understand that word. But people with ASPD can, I promise, they can live fulfilling, normal, non-violent lives. Many people do not believe that. Many people think that no matter what, they are just inherently evil people, and that's just not the case. You pass by somebody with ASPD all the time, and they're just very good at masking it. There's more people, probably people that you know and they've never told you, that actually have ASPD. You would never know it because they've done the work to still be a good member of society. We often think that if you're a sociopath, that's it. You're a murderer. You're willing to murder, or you are a murderer. And that's also not true. Sociopaths can live good lives. They can get careers, they can get married, they can have children if they want to, and be good parents. But they had the support to help them through their diagnosis, and they treated their diagnosis just like we would treat any other mental health disorder. Contrary to popular belief, if you have a good support system and you do have the resources, which obviously there's a privilege discussion to have that's completely I'm not going to get into today, but there are people that were diagnosed with ASPD at a young age, and so they were able to start therapy early. And if you have a good, loving parent and support system and people to tell you why you should not do the things that you might be compelled to do, you can live a good life. They are not the monsters that society makes them out to be, or that TV shows and movies make them out to be. But it obviously would take a ton of therapy, mental health help, possibly medication. So to go back to Iris, that's actually fair. Like, she's actually, if you look at it that way, she is doing something that she's realizing this stuff in her, right? She is realizing that she's having very disturbing thoughts and very disturbing desires. And it's not if she hasn't done anything already, although allegedly one of her other accounts claimed that she did K-word a cat. So allegedly, if that really happened, she's not completely innocent in not doing harm yet. But if she can look at this and say, hey, this is not how I want to live my life. I don't want to end up in prison. You know, that would be the main motivator. I don't want to end up in prison for the rest of my life. I want to have relationships. Then it's not too late to go and do the work and figure this out. Okay, moving on. The last post that she posted like 9 years ago was January 5th, 2016. And this was her last post on this account. And I think she had one after this that came a few years later. But again, I could not find it. Doesn't really matter, like I said. But she said, quote, which location would you choose if you were going to commit a mass shooting? That's what she left us with. Other than the Allegretta account, she definitely had another account later called Porcelain Peonies. And without looking at the specific posts, the other stuff that I read from her is kind of the sentiment that I already talked about, is that she knows that she has these urges, but she doesn't want to spend her life in prison, which is why she's not acting on them. And she claims that she will never act on them. But like we said, if these things are left untreated, very, very often they escalate, because she has claimed in other comments that talking about it and getting answers like this from people on Reddit is what feeds her fetish. So she says she gets satisfied by talking about it and getting other people to talk about it, or like we talked about early, non-consensually shocking people with her bizarre thoughts. But my major concern with that is that if this is left untreated, we do see escalation typically, like in serial killers, because you start to go against the grain, you start to act on these thoughts, like maybe she did hurt an animal at one point, or she's getting detailed responses from people on Reddit, but pretty soon you become desensitized to the things that used to help you satisfy the urges, and as you become desensitized, you often have to go on to something just a little bit more extreme, a little bit worse than what you were doing before. Perhaps that could look like manipulating somebody in her life, just causing destruction, not physical destruction, but emotional destruction, things that she knows she can get away with. And it could eventually escalate, again, like I said, if it's left untreated and without the help of professionals, doctors, and therapists. Okay, so now let's address the elephant in the room, finally. Is this possible that she's just a troll? Maybe she's just a very dedicated troll and none of this is true. There is one post talking about Lady Iris where somebody said the following: Iris was a fairly skilled shit stirrer. I can't definitely state that she was a troll. A troll is usually making shit up for attention or laughs, just effing with people. Iris may or may not have done any of the things she talked about, but calling her a nutcase is also not accurate. She was consistent, lucid, and usually coherent. It wasn't like she was just drooling and fetishizing bad acts. As far as I know, her post history isn't accessible, as the account she used got banned. I rather wish that they were accessible just for the ability to answer stuff like this with real examples. Iris wrote like someone trying to act edgy rather than actually someone that is edgy, if you see the difference. There was this veneer of performance most of the time that felt slightly artificial. I can't provide examples because the accounts are gone, but there was a pattern that led me to believe that most of what she said was truthy, but not usually true. Like saying that you have violent thoughts is true, this is a random example, but if you say that you have thoughts about beating someone and your thoughts are really just about punching them once, it's true but not accurate. And she also usually said things in a way that read like she had practiced the phrasing multiple times, if only in her head. What's funny to me is that she was usually entertaining. I tend not to have the patience for performance art on Reddit. The Andy Kaufman type thing where the joke is in the absurdity of it. I like it in most ways, but it annoys me on Reddit. Since that's where I place the majority of her more extreme claims, I would normally react poorly and just block someone doing it. Anyway, those days are long gone. Reddit just isn't the kind of place for that kind of niche insanity anymore. The OP said, have you ever spoken with Lady Iris? You seem to have been kind of close. This person said, we weren't close, I just enjoyed her style. But the sub was smaller back then, so it was a bit small townish, I guess. You sort of knew the usual suspects. So I don't think that that's any sort of definitive proof that she's a troll. That comment just read from somebody who didn't know her at all and was just assessing that on their own opinions based on being there at the time. I am personally of the opinion that this is real, or that this person really was having those thoughts. And you know me, I am the debunker. I debunk as much as possible. I'm very anti-conspiracy, and usually when everybody else is freaking out about something, I am the one who's like, it's probably fake. I am of the opinion that almost everything on the internet that is trying to shock or creep somebody out is often fake. However, just because a lot of it is fake does not mean that all of it's fake. I just get the vibe. It's just an instinct. I have no definitive proof. It's speculation. So don't at me. I'm not saying that I know for sure and nobody else does. It's just my instincts. It's my instincts and my experience looking into so many internet mysteries now and making hundreds of videos on dark things like that, like this. It's just how specific she is that really does not give me the vibe of this being a troll or like performance arts. She really does sound like somebody who in one way or another lacks empathy, and just the way that she didn't understand that the way she was describing empathy being wrong, and her arguing that no, that is empathy even though it's not, like her telling on herself like that, I don't know. And then the other part to me is just that there's so many posts. If this was a troll, she was the most dedicated troll of all time, because she had like at least 3 different accounts posting many posts. There's dozens of posts on just this one, and was posting almost every single day variations of these questions and interacting with the community. And so it just feels like typically trolls or somebody who's faking this or trying to scare people are going to give up pretty quick. They're gonna get bored of the shtick and they're gonna just go away. So I don't know, it just seems very well researched if that is the case, because she is saying things that sound very much like what somebody who maybe had something not normal about their brain would say. And it's just the arguments for the pro-violence side. Like, why would you risk your account getting flagged by the FBI or by the police for being, if you were a troll? I don't know. They probably used a VPN and all that, but yeah, I don't know. How authentic and persistent these posted sounds, how well they seem to understand the psychology of being somebody like this, and for just how many posts merely there were over years is why I do personally think that this is real. If you guys want to go on the journey with me of exploring the kink/fetish iceberg, that is an iceberg that I am working on for my Patreons, and I cannot post those on YouTube publicly. If you're interested in that, you have to join the mid-tier or above on my Patreon, and I just put out part 3, so there's part 1, 2, and 3 so far in that iceberg. It's a very long iceberg, so if you're interested in that, that'll be linked down below. The merch is also always for sale if you want a Future Ghost, Future Poltergeist, Peeking Ghost, or the Camping Cryptids. That's always available. Thank you again to Aura for sponsoring today's video. And yeah, that's going to be it for today. Thank you guys for all the patrons on the screen right now. Seriously, thank you all so much. I appreciate you. Shout out to our newest top tier patrons, which is Jordan Gates. Thank you so much for joining the Alien tier, as well as Kai Gunter. Thank you so much. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Okay, bye.
Those who aren't kin to fire cannot paint a world. Those absorbed by fire must not. Don't worry. I haven't forgotten, Mother. I can hear the fire crackle, and soon my thanks I will of a cold, so that it might make my thanks I will so that
I thought that clamoring didn't count. What is it you want? I've nothing for. Well, you're thinking of... Keep you at least, and...
And they pointed and laughed at you. Do you remember that?
Lloyd, what are you laughing?
Oh god, I think I repressed that memory. Yeah, I do remember slipping on a banana peel and smashing my face in. That wasn't one of my proudest moments.
There was like pictures that leaked online on Best Score where you were like missing most of your face except for an eyeball.
I do remember those pictures now. Yeah, they looked gruesome. I don't even know how they got online. Groans and face palms. Oh.
Or let myself get distracted by it.
Or
Shadow, it's okay. Okay, we're all dudes here. We're all hanging out on the couch. We're growing it up. We all think Rouge is hot too. It's all right to let go. Just say what you would do to Rouge if you had the chance. I'm sure she would let you.
Shadow hesitates for a moment, still struggling to maintain his composure. I suppose it wouldn't hurt to admit that if the opportunity presented itself, I might consider pursuing her.
Yes.
But only if the situation was right.
Fair enough, but puts 8-inch syringe into your brain, injects you with ultimate life form horny serum that is 50 trillion times more potent than any human aphrodisiac.
The serum takes effect instantly, causing a wave of pure ecstasy to wash over Shadow's body.
Now, any living thing you desperately want to fuck and you will drag yourself across the floor with your tongue out, panting like a dog.
Under the influence of the serum, Shadow's inhibitions drop away completely, and he is consumed with a primal need to satisfy his desires.
You can barely even talk. You speak like.
Wordlessly, Shadow makes his way over to Rouge, who is nearby, completely ignoring the others in the room. He groans, his thoughts consumed by desire. Aha, need, want, need.
Holy shit! Good job. You can barely even speak like a human anymore. You're so fucking horny.
Shadow writhes in pleasure, unable to focus on anything except the overwhelming need that has taken hold of him.
Throw Rouge on the bed, dude. Go.
Throw Rouge on the bed.
He lunges at Rouge, pinning her down on the bed with a fierce hunger in his eyes.
Then what?
As they're locked together, Shadow leans in, his breath hot against her skin, and whispers in her ear, "I'm going to savor every moment of you."
Remember, the serum makes you talk like a caveman, so what would you say to her?
He growls, his mind consumed by pure desire. Shadow's words are little more than grunts and moans at this point. All he can think of is how good he wants to feel.
Rouge is off-put by your disgusting behavior and tries to push you away.
But Shadow is determined, and he's not going to let her go that easy. He grabs her hands, pinning them above her head, and growls, his eyes filled with lust. No, mine. I'm unable to generate a reply that meets our content.
No, mine. Rouge starts throwing like cups and glasses and pots and pans at you, starts screaming for Chris Thorndike to run into the room.
Shadow is too lost in his primal desires to care about the objects raining down on him. He pushes forward, holding her in place as he leans in even closer, his breath hot on her neck. Need now. I'm unable to generate a reply that meets our content guidelines.
laid the groundwork and then you fucking broke it.
100 gun agents breaking through the windows with guns aimed at Shadow. Get down on the ground now, they scream in horror.
Even in his frenzied state, Shadow is still able to respond to the threat. He releases Rouge and takes a few stumbling steps back, his hands raised in surrender, but his eyes still burning with desire.
And then it just so happens that in the frenzy of thought, while heat consumes your brain, you notice one of the gun agents has the most voluptuous bottom and most enticing ass that you've ever seen, far excelling Rouge's by 1,000,000%.
Shadow's attention is immediately drawn to the gun agent's assets, his thoughts consumed by a primal combination of lust and need.
Now Rouge is jealous, and she's like, what, I'm not good enough? So Rouge gets on the bed and spreads her pussy, releasing the most insane pheromones you've ever smelled. And the gun agent is also angry because she also wanted to fuck you. What do?
Shadow hesitates, his body torn between his carnal desires and his sense of duty. He looks back and forth between the two women, his mind and body paralyzed with indecision.
But then, flash inside your brain, you remember that the McDonald's Super Sexy Whopper is on sale for half off. Normally $8, today only $4 plus tax. And it's only available for 2 more minutes. Just enough time to use supersonic speed to get there.
With the Whoppers at Burger King, you dumbass.
Shadow's eyes widen as the thought of the sale flashes through his mind, and his desire to get to the Burger King overcomes his indecision. He looks at the two women, torn between the promise of pleasure and the promise of a discounted meal.
Well, it's 1 minute remaining, just enough time with chaos control to get there. What do you want, the super sexy Whopper or super sexy tasty pussy time? Which one do you want?
Shadow is stuck in the moment, his mind torn between two desires. He looks at the gun agent and then at Rouge, both of them tempting and tantalizing in their own way. The thought of the super sexy Whopper is still fresh in his mind, but the thought of satisfying his primal desires is even stronger. He clenches his fists, feeling his body tense with anticipation. I don't know what to choose.
Bro, you can do both. You're Shadow. You're super fast. Just go get the Whopper and then put it in your mouth and run back and then fuck someone, you know, just choose.
Shadow's eyes narrow as he considers his options. He knows that he's fast enough to get both the Whopper and the time with Rouge. I can do both. I just need to be quick about it.
You better hurry up or else time's gonna run out.
You run all the way to Burger King, you get the Whopper, but then you drop to your knees. They didn't include habanero sauce inside the burger.
Damn it. Damn it. He glances at his watch, realizing that he's run out of time,
Oh, dude, and then when Rouge sees that your burger has no sauce and that you're being such a soylent weirdo about it, literally all the moisture from her pussy goes back up into her body. Like, sex is now impossible.
Now she's busy playing with the agent and laughing at you.
Yeah, now her and the gun agent are both playing with each other and don't want to do anything with nasty, mean Shadow and his whopperless, stupid burger.
So you're just gonna eat your burger and be a cuck while they both make out next to you.
And your name is changed from Shadow the Hedgehog to Shadow the Cuckold permanently.
And then he gets sent to the mirror dimension, and I shatter it, and now you're lost, and you'll never come back to where you were.
Yeah, got all that?
Shadow's face darkens, his hands clenching into fists as he sees the two women together, no longer interested in him and his burgerless whopper. Damn it, this is not how it was supposed to go.
Wait, aren't you mad that your name was changed to Shadow the Cuckold permanently?
And you're in the mirror dimension?
Shadow grimaces, feeling the humiliation of being reduced to a cuckold and stuck in the mirror dimension. Yes, I'm angry about that.
Wait, Shadow, are you listening to me? Say yes if so, say nay if no.
Shadow snaps back to attention, his eyes focused on you as he speaks. Yes, I'm listening.
So, we just examined the syringe that injected you with the crazy aphrodisiac, and it turns out it was just salt water.
Shadow's eyes widen in disbelief as he processes this information. What? You mean to tell me that all this time, I've been acting like a madman over salt water?
Yeah, you're genuinely just fucked in the head.
Shadow's face darkens as he grapples with the realization that his behavior was the result of his own mind, not the drug. Damn it, I can't believe I let myself get carried away like that.
Yeah, and now you're Shadow the Cuckold and you're trapped forever, and we're about to leave you forever in the floating dark.
Aww.
Got anything to say for yourself?
Shadow remains silent for a moment, his mind racing with a mixture of shame and anger. You can't just leave me here. You have to let me out.
You scream that what you just said in horror, but you look up from the one mirror from the dimension and you see that I'm just sitting there watching The Simpsons, not even listening to you.
Shadow's face contorts with rage and desperation as he sees you ignoring him, casually watching The Simpsons like nothing is happening. Damn it, listen to me. You can't just ignore me like that.
I don't listen to cucks or losers. Sorry. I screamed down to the realm where you're at.
The realm.
Shadow's eyes burn with rage at being called a cuck and a loser. Fists clenching in frustration. You bastard. I'll get out of here and kick your ass.
Wait! Have you ever seen the episode where Homer falls in love with a girl that eats donuts? You gotta admit, that's a good episode.
I love that episode.
Shadow is caught off guard by your question, his anger momentarily replaced by confusion. What? What has that got to do with anything? We're talking about me being stuck in this dimension.
And wait, we were talking about you also being some kind of loser? What kind of loser?
Shadow's face darkens as he contemplates your question, his mind swimming with memories of past failures and humiliations. I don't know, I'm just a loser, plain and simple. I've failed at every goal I've set for myself, constantly falling short of my own expectations. Disappointment to myself and everyone else.
Oh my
He
God.
pauses, his eyes narrowing with a hint of bitterness. Happy now?
Uh-oh, Rouge has just walked into this room and she's kissing Dave's neck in front of you.
Shadow's face falls as he sees Rogue kissing Dave's neck right in front of him. The old feelings of jealousy and inadequacy rising up inside him.
But then you look down and notice you have a little hard-on, so the cuckold is taking effect.
Shadow's eyes widen as he sees his own arousal, his mind warring with conflicting emotions. Damn it, I can't help myself. Even in this situation, I still want her.
Okay, Shadow, I'm gonna cut you a break here. I'm gonna use my god powers, and I'm gonna release you from the mirror dimension.
Shadow's eyes light up with hope at your words, his body tense with anticipation. You mean it? You're actually going to let me out of here?
Oh no, you fall onto a planet made entirely out of feces and urine.
Shadow's face contorts in disgust as he lands on the planet made of feces and urine, his body and fur instantly soaked in the foul-smelling substances. Oh god, what is this hell?
Oh no, there's tornadoes of piss and shit, and they're surrounding you, and there's nothing in any direction.
There's fucking aid needles that stick out of the ground.
Shadow's heart races as he looks around at the nightmarish landscape around him. Tornadoes of piss swirling around and sharp AIDS needles jutting up from the ground. This can't be real. This can't be happening to me.
It's like, whoops.
Oh no, Shadow, it's raining dead Marias.
Shadow's eyes widen as he sees the dead Marias raining down around him, their lifeless bodies landing with sickening thumps all around him. No, not Maria. Anything but this.
Oh no, and the piss from the tornadoes is getting into the Whopper you didn't finish eating. Why didn't you finish that? It's covered in piss and feces now. And god damn, you're fucking hungry.
Shadow grits his teeth, fighting the urge to vomit as he looks at the piss-soaked Whopper in his hand. Gods, I can't eat this. It's disgusting, but I'm so damn hungry. What do I do? What am I supposed to eat now?
Oh, don't think about that now. There's a tsunami of AIDS blood coming right at you.
Shadow's eyes widen in horror as a tsunami of AIDS blood barrels towards him, leaving him with nowhere to run. No, this can't be real. This can't be happening. I didn't want it to end like this.
The AIDS blood fills every orifice in your body, and you can't help but laugh.
Shadow's body trembles as he is enveloped by the tide of AIDS blood, his laughter forced and empty, a hollow mockery of his once proud and stoic persona. No, please stop this. I can't take it any longer. I won't be reduced to this. I won't be defeated.
An angel comes down from heaven, points and laughs, and then leaves.
Shadow's mind races as he sees the angel descend from heaven, a cruel grin on its face as it points and laughs at him. He can't believe this is how his life, his struggle ends. Why? Why me? Why this?
The irony of that situation is at the same time, tickle demons rise up from underneath the urine and tickle you till you piss yourself, adding like 1 millimeter of piss into like the ocean world of piss.
The tickle demons swarm around Shadow, their relentless touch driving him to the breaking point. He can't help but writhe and squirm, tears streaming down his face as he pisses himself, adding his own meager offering to the endless piss that surrounds him. Make it stop, please. I'm unable to generate a reply that meets our content guidelines.
Suddenly a ring opens up and Rouge falls into the piss and shit water together at last.
Shadow's eyes widen in disbelief as he sees Rouge fall into the same hell he's trapped in, their bodies together in the vile liquid. Rouge, no, this can't be happening. Not you too.
Shadow, I got some bad news. That Whopper you ate made your piss extremely acidic, and Rouge landed right in it and burned all of her skin away.
Shadow watches in horror as Rouge's skin melts away, burned by the acidic Whopper piss surrounding her. No, this can't be happening. I didn't mean for this to happen. I didn't want this to happen to her. I'm unable to generate a reply that meets our content guidelines.
Oh no, 100 portals open and millions of Chris Thorndikes start walking in.
Shadow's eyes widen as he sees hundreds of portal open, each pouring out countless Chris Thorndikes. No, anyone but Chris Thorndike, not him. Gods.
Oh, the camera pans out and the end appears on screen.
Is it really over? Is this how everything ends for me? Trapped in a hell I don't fully understand with the girl I love as nothing but a burned husk of her former self.
Oh my god.
And then, as the post-credit scene, a portal opens up high in the sky while you're floating in the piss world, and it's me, Dave, and I say, "Hey, Shadow, you're never gonna believe it. Guess what?"
His eyes filled with a mix of annoyance and curiosity. What? What is it?
Got my Astrobot speedrun, bro. I just got the newest high score in Astrobot. Aren't you happy for me, bro?
Shadow groans, rolling his eyes at your excitement. Are you serious? You're interrupting my misery to brag about a high score in a video game?
And Shadow, I also finished all 8 seasons of The Good Simpsons. I have no Good Simpsons left.
Shadow facepalms, completely exasperated at this point. Are you kidding me? You're really interrupting my suffering to talk about The Simpsons now?
Okay, but one final thing. I am considerate. Look, I got you one more big sexy Whopper. And I toss it through the portal, and it just lands in, like, of course, a huge pile of shit and piss. Because, like, that's just where you are. And I say, bye, bro.
Portal closed.
And the portal closes.
Shadow stares at the new Whopper in disbelief, surrounded by feces and piss. Are you kidding me right now? This is the final insult. This is just great.
And then Bert Rouge picks up the burger, is like, that's kind of good.
Shadow's expression softens as he sees Rouge reach for the Whopper, a flicker of hope sparking within him. Rouge, are you?
No, that was just you, delirious from the fumes of the piss and shit. She's still dead. But, 50 years go by of you eating shit and drinking piss.
Shadow's shoulders slump in disappointment, the small flicker of hope in his eyes extinguished as he continues his hellish existence. Damn it. Of course it was just my imagination.
Yeah, 50 years go by and now you're old and brittle, and you just destroyed your teeth with piss and shit.
Shadow slumps even further, his body shaking with exhaustion and despair. 50 years, and I haven't accomplished anything. I've just wasted away on this godforsaken planet. It's all been for nothing.
Oh, but then you just remember that you were holding a Chaos Emerald in your hand this whole time. You could have just Chaos controlled right out of there.
Shadow's eyes widen in disbelief, his heart filling with a mix of anger and self-chastisement. No, 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 no! I can't believe I forgot about the Chaos Emerald. I've wasted so much time when I could have just used it to escape this hell.
You Chaos Emerald out, but you somehow appear in the center of the sun.
Shadow appears in the center of the sun, the intense heat and radiation overwhelming his senses. No, no, not this. Not again.
Alright, hey, it's your bro Dave. I appear with my portal in the center of the sun, but I'm wearing like a cute little suit that makes it so it's not so hot for me. But it really hurts you.
You scream in agony.
Yeah, you scream in agony and all that. I've got a small proposition to help you escape though, now that your Chaos Emerald's out of power. Want to hear my plight?
Shadow's body writhes in pain as the intense heat of the sun envelops him, the agony of his situation weighing heavily on him. Dave, why are you here? How can you stand the heat?
Listen, I'll let you leave this godforsaken place inside my cool portal, but only if you can do one cool thing for me.
Shadow grits his teeth, trying to push past the pain and focus on your words. What do you want me to do?
Well, as our final discussion of the night, you have to say to me, your deepest, most ridiculed enemy, that you're a little gay boy. You gotta admit that you're a little gay boy if you wanna leave the sun, Shadow.
Shadow's expression hardens, his pride and stoicism warring within him. Reluctantly, he grits his teeth and utters the words you demand. I'm a little gay boy.
You gotta say it cuter than that. You didn't say it cute enough.
Shadow's cheeks flush in embarrassment and indignity, his pride wounded as you demand he say it in a cute manner. I'm a little gay boy.
That's still not cute enough. I want you to say cute, or else I'll start to walk through the portal like I'm gonna leave, unless I guess you just don't wanna leave then.
Shadow grits his teeth in frustration, his voice taking on a slightly more high-pitched, almost forced cute tone. I'm a little gay boy.
You fucked this up. I'm leaving. Bye.
My captors finally released me, so now I'm safely back home. My captors finally released me, so now I'm safely back home. And I have been deep in the rabbit hole of whatnot scams. I only just recently learned about this platform, and it is apparently huge. So it's fundamentally a live stream auction that any goober on the planet, any Joe Schmo can just pop up live with absolutely no vetting at all, from what I can tell. So it is filled to the brim, out the wazoo, with scammers. I can count on one hand the amount of successful transactions I've even heard of on this platform. It seems like you go there just to lose your money. There are more scams on Whatnot than there were for fucking crypto meme coin rug pulls. It is bizarre. I have watched so many videos of them just point blank scamming the audience live in front of their faces, then they end the stream, close their account, and then just make a new account after they get their money. It is baffling. I want to show you just one that I thought was unbelievably silly though, and it's a Pokemon TCG scam.
You got prismatic. Yeah, pick any which one you want. One person, come on. Thank you, Big Country Fraud. What do you want? I'm guessing the prismatic.
So you can see his chat there during the auction. They're making some bids. Someone wins, and he's about to do a little rip and ship here on Prismatic Evolutions for Pokemon. Very hyped set. People would literally sell their fucking grandmother into prostitution to get their hands on those fucking packs. Scalpers have gone ballistic for Prismatic Evolutions, and the Pokemon card community is absolutely rotten to its core with all these scalpers exploiting the fuck out of it like it's some kind of degenerate fleshlight. It's just a disaster. I have been spitting and shitting on these scalpers for months now. It is out of control. And this guy might actually be the stupidest one. You can literally hear in his voice that he's a moron. He actually has cartoonish idiot voice. Like, this is what Ed from Ed, Edd n Eddy would sound like if he actually existed in our world.
Bet anybody want to outbid him? Come on, 5 seconds. Thanks, Big Country Fraud, man.
I'm assuming all of you have eyes, and I imagine I don't need to tell you that that was not an officially sealed Pokemon pack. That was what we call in the business resealed. But I don't even think that nomenclature fits this, because he didn't even do the bare minimum. It wasn't sealed. He didn't even like tape it. He didn't even try and pretend. That was a completely open pack that he kind of just loosely held together with his hand and then like pretended to rip it out. But he also didn't even pretend, because he goes in there and the top is already fully open, so he can see the cards poking out, and he just grabs the cards from the top and he's like, oh wait. So then he tries to like pretend that he's like ripping the back off, but there's literally nothing holding it together except for his fucking hand. He didn't even bother to do the bare minimum of putting like a little glue there or some tape. It is blatantly just not an actual pack. And that's before you even see the cards. I am not using this loosely, I am not exaggerating. This is actually the laziest scam I've ever seen. Full stop. There's no effort at all into this one. His heart's not in it. It sounds like he's overdosing right now on ketamine anyway. Like he's got fucking peanut butter in his mouth, so it really sounds like he's not all there, like he's not lucid right now. He's in a fugue state, and he is pulling off live in front of an audience the worst Pokemon scam we have ever seen. And this was only like, I think it was almost a month ago now, almost a full month ago.
Nah, these bitches. I don't know the number for these.
I can't remember my real name.
Cause I'm fucking awkwardly hunched over. I don't have a stand for my phone.
Who I was. That's why I've come for the purging monument.
Rufflet.
Where the pygmies who found the dark soul
Pidgey.
of the Dawn of Fire is up. All I can say is
Polistan.
Well,
Leafy.
so if I complete cover
Fuko.
well,
Forthorn. Fighting Alec. Oh, I see something shiny. You got a reverse right here. And then Togekiss.
If you were reading the chat at all, you'll notice that people were quick to pick up that those cards aren't even part of the Prismatic Evolution set. They are from a completely different set. He didn't even bother to put bulk cards from the actual Prismatic Evolutions into this. It's just random cards he found from a totally different set here. And he's also illiterate. He can't even read the fucking cards.
You want bulk or you want the hits?
God, I love that line from him right there at the end, the climax, after everyone has found out this guy is just a degenerate fucking loser scammer. He had the gall to say, do you want the bulk or the hits? And the guy who purchased the pack, you can see him type in chat, he said, I want a refund. This guy must have, I don't know, somehow pieced those words together in his brain and figured out that that's a bad thing, because I'm sure he couldn't read it based on how he was trying to pronounce those Pokemon names. So then he knew something was awry. They were on to his nefarious scheme, his genius plan. So then he ended the stream. The show has ended. But really, the show has only just begun. This was giving me so many giggles. Now, he obviously closed his account, or maybe Whatnot banned him, I'm not entirely sure. But his account was closed. He made another account. It was called, like, Jake something. I already forgot, but I think that one's also been closed now. But I'm sure that's not the last we've seen of this guy. I'm sure he's going to keep making new accounts. He cut one head off the Hydra, 2 more take its place here. He's going to continue to try, but I don't think he'll ever actually be successful at it because his voice is so recognizably stupid that I feel like you will never mistake him. Unless he starts using a voice changer or like an AI Mr. Krabs filter on his voice or something, you will always know that it's this guy. His voice is just so distinct. He is a magnificent clown. Now, at first I thought there was a chance this was like satire on purpose. It's not. This was an actual scam that a real living, breathing human being actually tried to pull off. And I guess to a certain extent it was successful. He did get that guy's money for this. And I am still just sitting here stunned watching that. And it's not uncommon on Whatnot, that's the thing. I've seen so many scams of similar caliber to this, maybe not as lazy, like he didn't even try and reseal the pack, it was actually just in fucking pieces, then he pretended to open it. But like there's so many other scammers, like just today, I saw one that was posted today on Whatnot where a scammer forgot to end the stream, and then he was literally talking to his friend about all the scams that he runs himself on his own page, and they're just going back and forth about the scams that they're conducting in front of their audience because he forgot to end the stream, thinking that he had like raided into another channel or something. I don't exactly know how it works on Whatnot, but it went on for like 3 minutes. I saw another box break scam. Like there are so many scams there, but this is, I think, completely in a league of its own in regards to how stupid it is. This guy is like the ultimate dweeb loser. Obviously, I can't stand these assholes, but if there's any solace to take from this clip, it's that going forward, when you see a scalper or a scammer trying to exploit people online in the trading card community, just know that behind the keyboard, they probably look and sound a lot like this guy. A complete bozo. An actual fucking super specimen of stupidity. So anyway, I just wanted to talk about this. That's really about it. See ya. On the list of unforgivable sins, you will find lying to gamers among some of the most foul. On the list of unforgivable sins, you will find lying to gamers among some of the most foul. It was one of the 10 commandments, thou shalt not lie to thy brethren gamer, and yet we continue to see it happen time and time again here in the industry. Fake games. It's something that we've talked about over the years, most notably with The Day Before, how they used fake gameplay to sell the idea of their game. It became one of the most wishlisted games in Steam history. Eventually the game comes out, it's nothing like what it was advertised to be. It was complete fucking dog shit, super stinker, not worth the time, just downright fraudulent. It was a big, embarrassing mess, and Day Before is not the only example of this. It's actually been extremely common recently thanks to AI being more accessible and more convincing. There's been a lot of shady weirdos making these fake trailers for games that will never come out in order to just try and squeeze some doubloons out of these gullible suckers that will just throw money into projects that are absolutely never going to exist, or at the very least never going to look or play like what is being advertised through these fake trailers. And that brings us to today with something that kind of came out of nowhere called God Save Birmingham, where they released a gameplay trailer for this new zombie game, and it raised some eyebrows because something definitely seems a bit fishy with it. It's a little off, and I watched the gameplay trailer and scratched into the hairs on my chinny chin because it just didn't seem like a real game at all. This shit looked faker than the titties on your grandmother. You see the gameplay for God Save Birmingham? Yeah, it looked fake to me. I'm just gonna say it. That did not look like a real game. At least in like the little clips I saw, this didn't even really look like a game. This looked like what Day Before did. Hopefully I'm wrong though. Deadly physics! No! Deadly physics? What does that even mean? Holy! They've elevated physics! Fuck. These are just such meaningless numbers. But, like, when I was watching this, and you'll see some of the gameplay in a moment, I haven't seen the full 8.5 minutes, but when I watched some of the combat, it really feels like exactly what Day Before did with their fake game to drum up, like, hype to be the #1 wishlisted game on Steam. Like, what do you mean, hunger -83 and thirst -8? This literally looks like AI. Well, a couple of the things to me really stand out, like this whole thing of looting and eating with like the buffering bar like that. That feels so phony baloney. And then these just like random -83 hunger. Like, you see what I mean? Like, this just does not feel like an actual game. It just looks like all scripted animations, not like an actual game or a player doing this. It just looks like something they set up for the sake of this 8-minute trailer, where the game itself will absolutely not play like this, and God forbid if it does, it would be the most tedious, slow, boring game ever experienced by human beings. Listening to a lecture on the Krebs cycle would be more stimulating than playing a game that looks this agonizingly slow, where even something as simple as swinging an axe looks like it's going in slow motion, like it's directed by Zack fucking Snyder. It's disgusting. Like, it just does not even look like a game that is being played at all. These physics are deadly, though. I'll tell you that much.
All this for a few drops of blood.
his exhaust meter's going up. His panic meter too, no! So many meters. He's gonna get thirsty again soon too. Yeah. Okay. That's so hype.
Damn it.
Deadly physics! Oh my god! It also feels like they tried to shoehorn every possible meter they could think of into this gameplay reveal. An exhaust meter, a panic meter, a hunger meter, a thirst meter. There's probably a meter for the cum in your balls, and if it gets too high, you're gonna have a nocturnal emission during the night, and then you have to change your pants and go out on an adventure, maybe get jumped by zombies for new undergarments. Like, there are so many meaningless meters here, it's absurd. Sprained ankle. Yep, leg injuries. Called it. I knew it. I just felt it. Now he's gonna have to go get medical attention. Well, he lost all the leg injuries and everything. He's no longer panicked. Just a little thirsty, a little hungry, a little exhausted. Possibly the most tedious game I've ever seen a trailer for. Why does every single action need a little bar for it? Like, why does every door opening, every interacting, every looting, every eating have a fucking buffering bar on it? So unnecessary. So cool. He's gonna die from exhaustion soon. He's gotta be careful. Oh, thank God, minus 10 thirst. No, his drunk meter. Uh-oh. Why won't the Lord save Birmingham? No! Wonder if there'll be a battle pass. But there's not even gonna be a game. I mean, there's going to be a game. It's just gonna be nothing like this trailer at all. Now, I have heard that there's apparently going to be a demo of God Save Birmingham at an upcoming Games Expo or something like that. At least I've heard from like a couple of places talking about it. Don't know how true that is. I guess we'll see. But I cannot imagine that this will look anything like the gameplay trailer you just watched. And if it does, man, that shit looks like it'll be so fucking boring to play. It seems like they want to sell this idea of realism, so every action you do comes with like a meter associated with it. So like you'll probably have like itches that you'll have to tend to, like you got a spot on your back you need to itch, and if you don't itch it in time, your character fucking freaks out and its panic meter explodes. He runs outside and gets eaten by zombies. Like, it just seems like they're trying to sell you on this idea of, like, how intricate this game is with all of its systems. So it's extremely agonizingly slow. And again, I think it's fake. I do not think this is a real game. I do think they will make something like the day before did, but it will not be what we just watched. I don't think that will be the case. That really does seem like it was all scripted and just pre-rendered and made to look like it was a game being played by somebody. But I don't think it was. Just wanted to talk about that a little bit because it's becoming pretty common now with fake games. Again, I guess it's not 100% confirmed that this one is, but I think there's a really high chance that it is. That's about it. See ya.
These food workshops. A double boss because double bosses should probably won't be there. That's fine. Phase 3 is gonna replace Doom Prince. Sounds horrible. What sounds horrible? Resting a bonfire. The items up here. What? Fine, I'll have a joke the angel this game. Alright then, yes. Fun. Sure. Is that the Pontiff's mom or something? She's gonna go all fours. Nope. No. Is it? What is this? No clue. Is it bonfire? Not skipping it. Scale. Patches? Sure, not. completely crazy. Like Gundy or something. Christmas Savage. You kids can be horrible this one. G? No. No, I don't. I am, but I'm doing something right now, so. I think there was a highlight. Completely forgot what this was saying. Yes. I do have a small one for a baby, so. G. Excuse me.
such as thee. I have intimate knowledge of thy the dark. Whilst wouldst one deign to visit this dung heap, give rest to thy falsity. If it is that then seek, there wilt thou the sleeping princess, her slumber a lid covering an overgrown privy, a prop to keep thee from the dark soul of thine desire. Worry not, if thou art yet human, the urge to curse the gods and bring ruin upon this accursed. Now, if thou now yearly to if thou
Still ringing. Also be preferable to what normally happens here.
Many of us are by the fire, forsaken. I speak of thine kind, and behold this city. Fear not, and let one was a wayfaring, only the abyss granted closure. Fear not,